Well, after all the very, very unfortunate nonsense that's happening in reform with Nigel Farage doing what he did to UKIP again by being worried about any competition that might come after his little title with the whole Rupert Lowe situation, some people are flocking to another party called the Homeland Party, who I think are a great bunch of guys, and I'm very certain I'm not going to regret saying that one. I'm kidding on. But basically, the British far right swaps swastika tattoos for sharp suits and slack ads. I've talked to a lot of the Homeland guys, and the reason that Homeland started is apparently they wanted away from all of that stuff. But of course, I mean, you've seen the title of the article, so yeah. You've seen who wrote the article. But anyway, the rise of extreme parties across Europe begs the question: could the UK be next? And I mean, the reason all these extreme parties are coming out is because things are getting extremely bad. And basically, huge portions of the population are just getting told, shut up, racist, when they have very, very valid concerns that they would like to be addressed by the government. And the government is completely ignoring them. The government is doing the opposite of what they want. So, of course, people are going to form parties and try and bring about the change that they want because the democratic system just isn't listening to them at all. It's telling them to shut up while it destroys their lives. I mean, considering the way you've treated that portion of the population, you're very, very lucky that forming a political party and trying to bring about change through the regular, normal channels, you're lucky that's all they're doing. But anyway, the celebrated novelist Sinclair Lewis once wrote that when fascism comes to America, it will be wrapped in the flag and carrying a cross. This is in the Jewish Chronicle, by the way. Whether or not that has happened already is its own debate, but the eponymous message of the book from which that passage is extracted, "It could happen here," holds just as true for the UK today. That's because the far right has a new face here, one that shuns swastika tattoos and football hooliganism for sharp suits and swish marketing. It turns out that people that care about their country can look like normal people, and also that's poor shaming. Poor shaming, which I mean, yeah, don't make jokes. Don't make. That's fine. That's fine. The recently established Homeland Party is gathering steam, particularly around its base in Scotland, where it was set up in 2023. Founded by former BNP organiser Kenny Smith as a splinter group of Patriotic Alternative, a neo Nazi group whose members have promoted Holocaust denial and the white genocide conspiracy theory. Did you know that the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is time? But anyway, it claims to have distanced itself from PA's more extreme views. Indeed, Homeland is not your typical far right group. It has an official X account with 30,000 followers and is a registered political party with an established and rapidly growing membership, 70% of whom are under 30, according to the party's estimates. Because, yes, as it turns out, the youth are overwhelmingly right wing. And there's a reason for that, which I'll go over now, because if I do save it for the end, sometimes I forget. Basically, do you remember when you were, if anyone who's around my age will remember when you were in school and we had like the Christian boomer teachers that didn't like piercings and didn't like the coloured hair? I've said this so many times, I know, but this is just in case anyone hasn't heard it because it's a very, very important point that, see, everybody talks about the pendulum swinging every few decades or so. I'm about to explain why. So they gave us shit for having piercings, having coloured hair, having like all of that stuff. And then what happened was we grew up and we became the teachers. We became the authority figures. We rebelled against the views and ideologies that they were trying to push on us. And then when we grew up and occupied the positions of power, we decided to not do any of that. And now we are the ones that are pushing our ideologies on the next generation. So now the teachers are the ones with the piercings and the funny hair and the ambiguous gender and all this other, you know, liberal nonsense crap, and they are trying to force it down their throats, force it down the throats of the next generation, just like the teachers of the previous generation did. And what's happening is the next generation are doing what we did, and they're going, fuck you, and they're rebelling. And those same kids one day will also hold the positions of power. That's what's happening. So the reason that my generation was overwhelmingly left wing is the same reason why the next generation are overwhelmingly right wing. Basically, people don't like it when you try and force an ideology upon them. Who knew? But anyways, the hateful rhetoric has been heavily toned down, with PA policies like mass deportations and race-based immigration reframed under vague terms such as remigration and ethnic unity. I mean, it's not vague. There's an actual definition. You can just look those words up. What is Google? Likewise, there is no outright attack on Muslims, Jews, or Gypsies of the kind of thing you might see on the extremist fringes from which the party emerged. Yeah, this extremist far-right party, it turns out that they don't have any of, like, the extremist stuff in them, but we're still going to call them extremists. Fucking hell. Rather, on its website, it alludes to the exclusion of these minorities, saying ethnicity is an individual's hereditary and cultural origin and not merely that person's place of birth. But beneath the veneer of respectability and glossy PR, it appears that much of the old guard remains. And it's because... It's basically because, like, I'm not going to say too much, but I had a chat with one of the Homeland boys the other day, and he basically says, look, it's sensible nationalism, that's what we're doing. He says, we still have, like, some of the same opinions, we're just not as radical in wanting to adopt them, we're going to do it through the proper channels, and what separates us from the others is that if someone literally called Jew Slayer 1488 tries to join the party, we're going to tell him no, right? Which is fair. Is fair, because the problem is if you want to be any kind of right-wing party whatsoever, when it comes to the media and the universities and the institutions and the general public, you are held to a much, much higher standard than all of the other left-wing parties. Basically, if there is any tiny little thing in your past or any tiny little hiccup that you do, it's going to be exaggerated and massively megaphoned in the media. So basically, it's very, very hard to remain uncancelable and basically not have everyone coming after you over the tiniest little thing if you're a member of a right-wing group. Leftists, however, they can fucking nonce kids and cheer on rape gangs and all that type of stuff and they get left alone, which is why they're horrible people. And a lot of you think, yeah, that's bad, that's not fair. You're right, it's bad and it's not fair. However, just like we notice it, the general public is starting to notice it, and that helps us massively. So but anyway, in November, an investigation by Hope Not Hate found evidence of extreme anti-Semitism and racism within Homeland's ranks. And what they like to do is the same thing I discuss whenever journalists go, I went undercover in this event and blah, blah, blah. And like what they do is they go around and talk to 99% of people, realize that 99% of the people in these places are actually just really, really fucking normal, but they'll find the one nutter. They'll find the one nutter, and that's the person that makes it into the article. Hope Not Hate do the exact same thing. You know, it's the same as like whenever you go into... If we went into any left-wing events and we did the same thing, we would be able to find the exact same fucking nutters, and we would be able... Luigi Mangione is actually kind of fucking based, actually, and he did so much fucking stuff. They had a new fucking CEO sworn in before the body was even cold. Basically, the medical claim denials will continue, right? And he did nothing. He did nothing. CEOs have now increased security, so it's actually made it even harder for them to get nannied. Right? He did nothing. He achieved literally nothing. Right? It's just a bunch of liberal women fucking simping over some guy with a six-pack. That's all it is. He achieved jack shit. For example, it alleged that Conor Marlowe, the party's regional organiser in the West Midlands, previously shared images of himself making a Nazi salute in a fascist fitness group chat and posted a meme of the gates of Auschwitz edited to resemble a smiley face. I mean, shit, come into my Discord, man. That's tame as fuck, man. Waste my time with that childish shit. Homeland, you need to up your fucking game, man. That's basic bitch memes. But anyway, elsewhere, Anthony Burrows, the party's nominating officer, lost his shotgun license in 2021 over his alleged involvement with PA. That is a pile of bullshit. During the course of his hearing, Derby Crown Court heard that he shared images of Adolf Hitler and former Ku Klux Klan leader David Duke as part of a post he captioned, "Describe your politics with 4 people," according to a report by The Ferret. While Homeland hopes to grow its vote share in the local elections this spring, after securing 13% of the vote and a distant third place in the sole council seat it contested in 2024, Homeland's rhetoric is starting to extend well beyond its electoral power. Flirtation with remigration policies in some quarters of Reform UK, which sits neck and neck with Labour in the polls, is gathering steam. I mean, well... Reform were doing very well, and I think we could very well have had Prime Minister Farage at the next election. However, Farage is fucking up hard. He is fucking up so hard. Basically, I've already discussed this in like a video pretty recently where Farage wasn't the prettiest girl at the ball anymore. Gerard Batten was doing an excellent job, and what happened was Farage decided to jump ship out the party. He took his ball and went home, right, and he took all the fucking voters with him. So basically, UKIP get absolutely fucked, and his totally new party that he totally wasn't planning to open for like a year. It takes 6 months alone to file the fucking paperwork. That's if it gets approved on the first try, right? It was just, yeah, basically, he got really, really annoyed that he wasn't the prettiest girl at the ball. Rupert Lowe's a threat to him, so Nigel Farage is shit in the bed. That's what it is, right? I liked Nigel for a very, very long time. I do still think it's a net positive that he is there in Parliament, on TV, standing there, saying all the nice things that we want him to say, saying most of the nice things that we want him to say and that we want him to talk about because he's extremely optics cucked. Basically, it is still a net benefit that he's in there, but I don't know. I don't know. He's fucking up. He's fucking up so hard. For example, Rupert Lowe, tipped by many as a potential successor to Nigel Farage as Reform leader, has plenty of support among the Homeland base, despite its general disdain for his party. Smith dubbed him Remigration Rupert in an X post, while some of the accounts Lowe follows on the platform have also advocated the policy. One, named God Save Great Britain, wrote in December, "The whole of Europe needs remigration, make our countries great again." Similarly, Naomi Ripley, who runs a reform-supporting X account, followed by Lee Anderson MP, replied to criticisms of the party by saying, "The next election is 2029. Nobody can set out firm plans now for then. Can set out firm plans now for then. Yes, they'll stop immigration and have indicated about remigration. Open your eyes and see their progress." Remigration is also a key part of the policy platform of the far-right AFD, now Germany's second largest party, and one addressed by Farage at a rally in 2017, where he was given a standing ovation after praising the party's growth as a historic achievement. Now, basically, in regards to Farage praising AFD are a bit more radical than Farage. I mean, the AFD are outwardly saying that they want things that Farage is like, no, 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 it might make people not like me, right? Just, yeah. It's basically, there are a lot of parties that aren't right-wing enough. The ones that claim, the Tories aren't right-wing. The Tories aren't right-wing at all. That everyone can agree on, right? Reform could have been the next best one. It could have been an actual right-wing party. However, it's starting to look a little bit like containment, just a little bit. And even though the big issues that most of the working class and pretty much like over half the country are saying, we have XYZ problem all directly linked to migration. Can you fucking do something about it, please? And Farage is like, no, it'll make people not like me. I think it would make people like you very, very, very much, right? And they're just not doing it. So people are now jumping ship and they're going to Homeland, right? And apparently after the Rupert Lowe nonsense, Homeland had a huge spike in membership. Right, it's just nonsense. And that's the problem. That's the thing when it comes to democracy. If there's a certain flavour of politics that people want, they can just start a party and everybody can vote for it whether or not they want. Right, but I do see Homeland as possibly being the next best thing, especially if Reform completely shit the bed, just like Nigel Farage did to UKIP.